The coffee had gone cold in my hand as I stared at the calendar on my phone. Another business trip. The third one this month. My wife's voice drifted from our bedroom, cheerful and rehearsed as she packed her suitcase with practiced efficiency. It's just 2 nights, honey. The Henderson account is crucial, and they specifically requested I be there for the final presentation. I nodded mechanically, the same way I'd nodded the last 4 times. The same way I'd nodded when she'd started working late on Wednesdays. The same way I'd nodded when her phone started facing down on every surface. Our daughter appeared in the doorway, her small frame silhouetted against the hallway light. She was 7, old enough to notice patterns but too young to understand what they meant. Is Mommy leaving again? Her voice carried that particular tremor that preceded tears. My wife's face flickered with something, guilt, perhaps, or annoyance at the complication of maternal emotion. She knelt down, her smile bright and hollow. Just for a little while, sweetheart. Mommy has very important work to do. But I'll bring you back something special, okay? Our son, barely 5, joined his sister. You always bring presents when you leave, he said matter-of-factly. But we want you to stay. The words hung in the air like an accusation. My wife's smile tightened at the edges. She hugged them both quickly, then stood, smoothing her business-casual slacks with hands that moved too fast. Kids don't understand career obligations, she said to me, as if they weren't standing right there. I'll call tonight after my dinner meeting. After she left, the house felt larger and emptier. I made pancakes for breakfast, helped with homework, played pretend until my knees ached from crawling around as various animals. This had become our routine. The 3 of us, orbiting around an absence. That night, after tucking the kids into bed, I sat in the dark living room with my laptop. I told myself I was just being thorough. Responsible. A concerned husband with reasonable questions about his wife's increasingly frequent absences. The Henderson account. She'd mentioned it specifically. I pulled up her company's website, scrolled through their client list. No Henderson. I searched her email, the one she thought I didn't know the password to, the one she'd created years ago and never changed the security question for. Mother's maiden name. Elementary. The emails painted a picture I'd been trying not to see. Coded language that wasn't quite coded enough. Can't wait for our meeting with a winky face. Last trip was amazing, followed by heart emojis. And then, buried in a thread from 2 weeks ago, a hotel confirmation. The Grandview Plaza. Room reserved under her name. But there was another name on the reservation. A +1. My hands shook as I clicked through her calendar. Every business trip for the past 3 months, I cross-referenced them with her company's actual travel schedule, public conference dates, anything I could verify. None of them matched. Not a single one. I thought about confronting her. Demanding the truth. But I'd watched enough friends go through divorces to know how this worked. Deny, gaslight, turn it around. Make me the crazy one for not trusting her. And in a custody battle, judges liked mothers. Especially mothers with successful careers who could afford good lawyers. I needed more than suspicions and calendar discrepancies. I needed proof that couldn't be argued away. That's when I looked at the calendar again. Her next trip. This coming weekend. The Grandview Plaza again. I'd recognize that confirmation number pattern anywhere. Same city, just 4 hours away. Our daughter wandered out of her room, rubbing her eyes. I can't sleep. I miss Mommy. I pulled her into my lap, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. What if we took a little trip this weekend? Just the 3 of us. Where would we go? I thought about the hotel confirmation. The same city. The same weekend. The kids who missed their mother. Somewhere fun, I said. Somewhere with a big pool and room service. We could surprise Mommy at her hotel. My daughter's eyes lit up with an excitement that made my heart crack. Really? We could see Mommy? Yes, I said, the plan forming with a clarity that felt both inevitable and nauseating. We'll surprise her. Friday morning arrived with the kind of artificial brightness that made everything feel surreal. I'd told the kids we were going on an adventure and they'd spent the past 2 days barely able to contain their excitement. Our daughter had made a welcome card with carefully drawn hearts and glitter that got everywhere. Our son had packed his favorite stuffed dinosaur to show Mommy. I hadn't slept more than a few hours in the past week. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw scenarios playing out, each one worse than the last. But I also saw my children's faces, the way they lit up when they talked about surprising their mother. Their innocence was a weapon I hated myself for wielding. The drive took just under 4 hours. I'd planned it carefully, timing our arrival for early evening, late enough that any business meetings would be concluded, early enough that the kids wouldn't be too tired. They watched movies on their tablets, occasionally bursting into excited chatter about seeing Mommy. "Do you think she'll be happy to see us?" our daughter asked as we crossed into the city limits. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I think she'll be very surprised." The Grandview Plaza loomed into view, all glass and steel and modern architecture. It was nicer than I'd expected, the kind of place that charged $20 for a cocktail and had staff who wore earpieces. I'd called ahead, posing as a family member planning a surprise. The concierge had been enthusiastically helpful. "Is this where Mommy's staying?" Our son pressed his face against the window, eyes wide. "Yes, buddy. This is it." I parked and sat for a moment, hands still gripping the wheel. This was it. The point of no return. I could still turn around, drive home, pretend I'd never seen those emails, never checked her calendar, never let suspicion curdle into certainty. But then our daughter said, "I can't wait to see Mommy's face," and the decision crystallized. Whatever happened next, my children deserved to know the truth about who their mother was. Even if that truth destroyed them a little. The lobby was exactly as opulent as the exterior promised. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a fountain that seemed unnecessarily large. The kids stared around in wonder while I approached the front desk, my heart hammering against my ribs. The woman behind the counter smiled professionally. "Good evening, sir. Checking in." "Actually, I'm here to surprise my wife. She's staying here for business." I gave her name, watched the woman's fingers fly across her keyboard. "Oh, yes. Room 847. The woman's smile widened, genuine now. "How lovely. I actually checked her in myself yesterday. Such a nice couple." The word hung in the air. Couple. My vision swam for a moment. "The elevator is just over there," the woman continued, oblivious to the bomb she'd just detonated. "Would you like me to call up and let her know you're here?" "No," I said, too sharply. I softened my tone. "We want it to be a complete surprise." "How wonderful. She's going to be so happy." The elevator ride felt interminable. Our daughter clutched her glitter-covered card, practicing her surprise. Our son made his dinosaur do a little dance. I watched the numbers climb, 3, 4, 5, and felt increasingly sick. "Daddy, are you okay?" Our daughter was looking at me with concern. "You look funny." I forced a smile. "Just excited, sweetheart." The 8th floor hallway stretched out in both directions, identical doors marked with brass numbers. 847 was at the far end. As we walked, I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, started recording. The kids didn't notice. They were too focused on their mission. We stood outside the door. I could hear the television inside, muffled voices. My hand hovered over the kids' shoulders. This was the moment. Once they knocked, everything would change. Their childhoods would be divided into before and after. Before they knew. After they saw. But staying in the before was no longer an option. The before was built on lies. "Okay," I whispered. "Remember, big surprise. Both of you knock together." They positioned themselves in front of the door, my daughter's card held high, my son's dinosaur at the ready. I held my phone steady, the camera recording. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might shatter my ribs. 1, I counted. 2, 3. Their small fists rapped against the door in unison. Surprise. For a moment, nothing. Then footsteps. The mechanical click of a lock disengaging. The door opened. The man who opened the door was younger than me. Mid-30s, handsome in that gym-regular way, wearing nothing but hotel-branded boxer shorts and an expression of confused annoyance that transformed into pure horror as he registered what he was looking at. Two small children, beaming up at him with gap-toothed smiles. A husband, phone raised, camera recording. "Surprise," our daughter said again, her voice faltering now, uncertainty creeping in. "We came to see Mommy." The man's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Behind him, I could see the rumpled bed, clothes scattered across chairs, 2 wine glasses on the nightstand. And then my wife appeared, wrapped in a hotel robe, her hair wet from a shower, her face cycling through emotions so rapidly it was almost fascinating to watch. Confusion, recognition, shock, terror. What are you doing here?" Her voice came out strangled. Our son pushed past the half-naked man, running to his mother with his arms outstretched. "Mommy, we surprised you. Daddy said we could come see you." She caught him automatically, her eyes locked on mine over his head. The man in the doorway had backed up, frantically searching for his clothes. Our daughter still stood in the hallway, her card drooping in her hands, her eyes moving between the strange man and her mother. "Mommy," she said slowly, "who is that man? Why is he in your room?" The question hung there, stark and damning. I kept my phone steady, capturing every second. My wife's colleague, and I knew that's what he was, had found his photo on the company website during my sleepless nights, had located his pants and was pulling them on with shaking hands. "I can explain," my wife started, her voice taking on that reasonable tone she used when the kids had caught her in a small lie about dessert or bedtime. "Can you?" I said quietly. "Can you explain to our 7-year-old daughter why a half-naked man answered your hotel room door? Can you explain to our 5-year-old son why you've been lying about business trips for the past 3 months?" Our daughter's card slipped from her fingers, glitter scattering across the carpet like tiny, mocking stars. "Daddy, I don't understand." "I know, sweetheart." I moved into the room, gently extracting our son from my wife's arms despite his protests. "We're going to go now." "Wait, please." My wife reached for me, but the man, I wouldn't dignify him with a name, stepped between us instinctively, a protective gesture that made everything worse. Our daughter saw it. She was a sharp kid, always had been. I watched her face as the puzzle pieces started clicking into place, the picture forming into something her child's mind struggled to comprehend but couldn't quite deny. "Is that man Mommy's friend?" she asked me, her voice very small. Before I could answer, my wife said, "Yes, honey, he's a work friend. We were just..." "Don't." The word came out harder than I'd intended. "Don't you dare lie to them anymore." The man finally found his voice. "Look, we should all calm down and talk about this like adults." I turned to him, and whatever he saw in my face made him step back. "You don't get to speak. You don't get to have an opinion. You're the one who's been sleeping with a married woman, a mother, while her children wondered why she was never home." "That's not fair," my wife said, her shock giving way to defensiveness. "You don't know what our marriage has been like. You work all the time, you're never emotionally available, we haven't been happy in years. So you decided to fix it by taking secret trips with your coworker? By lying to your children? By making them miss you while you were here doing this?" Our son started crying, overwhelmed by the raised voices and the tension he couldn't understand. Our daughter just stared at the scene with wide, unblinking eyes, her expression eerily blank. I crouched down, pulling both kids close. "We're leaving. Say goodbye to your mother." "No, wait, please." My wife moved toward us, but I was already guiding the children toward the door. "You can't just take them. We need to talk about this. We'll talk through lawyers." I paused at the threshold, looked back at her. She was crying now, mascara running down her face, the hotel robe clutched tight around her. "I have everything I need. The emails. The fake calendar entries. The hotel confirmations. And now this, all of it on video." Her face went white. "You recorded this? With our children here?" I recorded a father bringing his children to surprise their mother at her hotel. I recorded what we found. That's all. The man, her affair partner, her colleague, her choice over our family, spoke up again. You can't use that in court. It's entrapment or something. I almost laughed. It's not entrapment when you willingly open the door half naked. It's evidence. We left them there, my wife crying, her boyfriend stammering justifications, the hotel room that smelled of wine and betrayal. The elevator ride down was silent except for our son's sniffles. Our daughter held my hand so tightly her nails dug into my palm. In the lobby, the same woman from the front desk saw us and started to wave, her smile faltering as she took in the children's tears and my expression. Is everything okay? She asked hesitantly. Actually, I said, I'm going to need to speak with your manager. I need copies of your security footage from the past 24 hours, particularly the lobby and 8th floor. For legal purposes. Her eyes widened. Oh. Yes, sir. Right away. The hotel manager's office was too bright and smelled of lemon cleaning solution. My children sat on a leather couch, our daughter holding our son, both of them quiet in that shell-shocked way that made my heart physically ache. The manager, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a professional demeanor, listened to my request without judgment. I'll need this to be documented, I explained, my voice steadier than I felt. I'm going to be filing for divorce and full custody. What happened upstairs, my children discovering their mother's affair, needs to be on record. She nodded slowly. I'll need to make some calls, but yes, we can provide footage. The lobby check-in will show your wife arriving with her companion. The elevator cameras, the hallway. We keep 72 hours of rolling footage. How long will it take? I can have it ready by morning. We'll need to follow proper legal procedures, but given the circumstances. She glanced at my children, her expression softening. I'm very sorry you're going through this. I'd booked us a room, different hotel, across town, somewhere with a pool and cartoon channels and room service that served chicken fingers. The irony wasn't lost on me. We were still on a family weekend trip. Just not the one I'd told the kids we were taking. Our daughter barely touched her dinner. She kept staring at her chicken fingers like they were a foreign object. Our son ate mechanically, his dinosaur sitting on the table beside his plate, forgotten. Daddy, our daughter finally said, is Mommy coming home? The question I'd been dreading. I set down my fork. Not right away, sweetheart. Because of that man. Because of a lot of things. How did you explain adult failures to a child? Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices. Mommy made some bad choices. She lied to us. It wasn't a question. Our daughter's voice was flat, factual. She said she was working, but she was really with that man. Yes. Is she going to live with him instead of us? I don't know what Mommy's going to do, but I know that you two are going to live with me, and I'm going to make sure you're safe and taken care of. Our son looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. Don't you love Mommy anymore? The question broke something in my chest. It's complicated, buddy. But what's not complicated is how much I love you and your sister. That will never change, no matter what happens with Mommy and me. My phone had been vibrating non-stop since we'd left the Grandview Plaza. Calls from my wife, texts ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. I'd silenced it after the first dozen. Now, as the kids took their baths, I finally looked. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. Please, we need to talk. You can't just take the children. This is kidnapping. I'm calling the police. I'm sorry, please, I'm so sorry. You ambushed me. This was cruel, using our children like this. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. You have no right to judge me. Please answer the phone. I blocked her number. Tomorrow I would contact a lawyer. Tonight, I needed to focus on damage control for the 2 small hearts I'd broken in the name of truth. Our daughter appeared in the bathroom doorway, wrapped in a hotel towel that was too big for her. Daddy, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Did you know? Before we went to surprise her. I could have lied. Probably should have. But hadn't we had enough lies? I suspected. I found some things that made me think Mommy wasn't really on business trips. So you brought us there on purpose. To see. The accusation in her voice cut deeper than anything my wife had said. Yes. Why? I knelt down to her level. Because I needed proof. And because I thought you deserved to know the truth about why Mommy was gone so much. I know it hurt. I know it was terrible. And I'm sorry I had to do it that way. She studied my face with those two old eyes. You used us. Yes. No point in denying it. I did. And I'm sorry for that. But I'm not sorry that now you know the truth. She didn't say anything else, just turned and walked away. I heard her climb into bed with her brother, heard their whispered conversation that I wasn't meant to hear. Is it our fault? Our son asked. No, our daughter said firmly. Grown-ups just ruin everything sometimes. I sat on the bathroom floor and let myself cry for the first time since this nightmare had started. Not for my marriage, that had been dying for a while, I could see that now. But for my children's innocence, shattered by necessity on a hotel room carpet covered in glitter from a welcome home card that would never be given. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You son of a, my wife's voice, calling from her affair partner's phone. How dare you traumatize our children like that? What kind of father are you? The kind who tells the truth. The kind who doesn't abandon his kids for secret hotel weekends. I never abandoned them. I love them. You have a really twisted way of showing it. This is emotional abuse. I'm going to tell the judge what you did, bringing them there, recording everything. Please do. Tell the judge how I brought our children to surprise their mother at her business hotel. Tell the judge what they found when they knocked on your door. I'm sure that will work out great for you. Silence. Then, quieter, what do you want? Full custody. The house. Fair division of assets. And for you to explain to our children, when they're ready to hear it, why you chose this over them. I didn't choose anything over them. You don't understand. You're right. I don't understand how a mother can look her children in the eye and lie about where she's going, who she's with, what she's doing. I don't understand how you can make them miss you while you're making that choice every single time you booked a hotel room. It wasn't about them. My relationship with him has nothing to do with being a mother. It has everything to do with being a mother. Every lie you told them, every trip you took, every night they cried because you weren't there, that's what it has to do with. You chose him over family dinners. Him over bedtime stories. Him over being present in your children's lives. I heard her sob, a raw sound. I want to see them. No. You can't keep them from me. I'm their mother. And I'm their father, and right now, they need stability. They need honesty. They need to feel safe. You can see them when we work out a custody arrangement through lawyers. Please, she whispered. Please don't do this. You did this. You just didn't think you'd get caught. I hung up. Blocked that number too. 3 months later, the divorce papers sat on my lawyer's desk, ready to file. The hotel footage had been entered as evidence. The email trail meticulously documented. My wife's lawyer had tried to paint me as manipulative, cruel for bringing the children. But the facts were stubborn things. She had lied repeatedly. She had maintained an affair for months. She had chosen her relationship with her colleague over her responsibilities to her family. The hotel footage showed her checking in with him multiple times, laughing, kissing in the lobby where anyone could see. Where their children could have seen, if they'd been looking. The judge had granted temporary custody to me, with supervised visitation for their mother. Our daughter had refused to see her for the first month. Our son went but came back quieter each time, carrying questions he didn't know how to ask. They were in therapy now. Both of them. Dr. Reynolds was patient, specialized in children of divorce, and didn't sugarcoat things. She told me privately that our daughter was angry, at her mother for lying, but also at me for the way the truth had been revealed. She feels like a pawn, Dr. Reynolds had said. She's not wrong to feel that way. I knew that. Lived with it every day. I'd made a choice that night, standing in that hotel hallway with my phone camera running. I'd chosen to use my children's innocence as evidence, to let them discover their mother's betrayal in the most dramatic way possible because I needed it documented, needed it irrefutable, needed it to ensure I could protect them from a custody arrangement that split them between two homes with a mother who'd proven she could lie directly to their faces. Was it the right choice? My lawyer said yes. Dr. Reynolds said maybe. My children's faces when that door opened said no. But here's what I knew. If I'd confronted my wife privately, she would have denied everything. Gaslighted me. Told me I was paranoid, controlling, jealous. She would have deleted the emails, been more careful, and the pattern would have continued. And in a divorce, without proof, the courts would likely have split custody 50-50. My children would have spent half their time with a mother who'd taught them that lies were acceptable, that promises meant nothing, that family was negotiable. That door opening, that moment of discovery, it was terrible. Traumatic. Something my children would carry forever. But it was also true. Undeniably, irrefutably true. Our daughter came into the living room now, backpack slung over one shoulder. She was taller than 3 months ago, her face leaner, older. Growing up too fast. We need to talk, she said. I set aside the papers. Okay. She sat across from me, her posture straight, formal. Dr. Reynolds says I should tell you how I feel about what happened. I'm listening. I'm mad at you. Direct, like always. You knew what we were going to find, and you brought us anyway. You let us get hurt because you needed evidence. You're right. She blinked, surprised. Maybe she'd expected defensiveness. You admit it. Yes. I used you and your brother to catch your mother in her lie. I made a choice that hurt you because I thought it was the only way to protect you long term. That's messed up. Yes, it is. Do you regret it? I thought about the alternative. Thought about them spending half their time in a home built on deception, learning that this was normal, acceptable, just how relationships worked. Thought about my wife teaching them, through example, that commitments were suggestions and families were temporary conveniences. I regret that it hurt you, I said carefully. I regret that it had to happen that way. But I don't regret making sure you'd be safe. From Mom. From the lies. From growing up thinking that what she did was okay. That how she treated our family was normal. Our daughter was quiet for a long moment. She wants to see me. Not just supervised visits. Real visits. I know. Dr. Reynolds says I should decide when I'm ready. That's fair. Are you going to try to stop me? I looked at this small, fierce person I'd helped create. This child who'd been forced to grow up too fast, to learn lessons about betrayal and truth and the complicated mess of adult relationships years before she should have had to. No, I said. She's your mother. You have a right to a relationship with her, if that's what you want. But I'll never apologize for showing you who she really is. You deserved to know the truth. Even if it hurt. Especially because it hurt. The truth isn't always kind. But it's always necessary. She studied me with those old eyes. Okay. Okay. I'll think about seeing her. But not yet. I'm still mad at both of you. That's fair too. She started to leave, then paused. Daddy, that card I made. The glitter one. I remember. I threw it away. At the hotel. I don't know if you knew that. I hadn't. I'm sorry, sweetheart. It said, "Welcome home, Mommy." I spent 3 days making it perfect. She looked at me, and there were tears in her eyes now. But she wasn't coming home, was she? She was already somewhere else. I pulled her into a hug, felt her thin shoulders shake. I'm sorry you had to learn that way. But yes, she was already somewhere else. And you deserved better than more lies. We stood like that for a long time, in the living room of the house we were keeping, in the aftermath of the truth we were still learning to live with. My phone buzzed. My lawyer. The court date was set. In 2 weeks, we'd stand before a judge, and my wife's attorney would argue that I'd traumatized our children. My attorney would counter that I'd protected them from ongoing deception. The judge would decide how to split time, assets, futures. But the real decision had already been made that night in the hotel hallway. When I counted to 3. When my children's fists knocked on that door. When it opened to reveal the truth in its most unvarnished, unforgiving form. Was I the villain of this story? Some days I thought so. The father who weaponized his children's love against their mother. Who documented their pain for legal advantage. Who chose truth over kindness. But most days, I looked at my daughter's 2 old eyes and my son's new wariness, and I knew. I was simply a father who loved his children enough to show them reality, even when reality was cruel. Who valued honesty over comfort. Who believed that growing up with the truth, however painful, was better than growing up with beautiful lies. The glitter from that card probably still lingered somewhere in the Grandview Plaza's carpet. A small, sparkling reminder of the moment everything changed. Of the price we pay for truth. Of the choices we make in the name of love. And as our daughter pulled away from the hug and went to her room, as our son came home from school with artwork that didn't include his mother anymore, as life slowly, painfully reorganized itself around this new reality, I lived with my choice. The door had opened. We'd all seen what was behind it. And there was no closing it again. That was the truth. And the truth, however terrible, was what I'd promised them I'd always give. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. Because that's what love looked like, sometimes. Not gentle. Not kind. But real.